I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. This is the Mobula 7, and it is one of the best brushless tiny whoops you can get. I hesitate there because it's not really a tiny whoop. It's much bigger, much more powerful, but that's what we're calling them, brushless tiny whoops. Fine. And this is the Eachine Trashcan, and it is better in every way than the Mobula 7, at least on paper. And that's why when I first reviewed the Mobula 7, a lot of you filled the comments section saying, "Why did you waste your time with this review? You should have just reviewed the Trashcan. It's better in every way." And that annoyed me a little bit, and I made a little rant about that, which I will now share with you. What is the hype train? And most importantly, who drives the hype train? Because a lot of people are really suspicious of manufacturers and reviewers for driving the hype train. But there's another part of the hype train, and that is you. You drive the hype train. Because you see a product like the Trashcan, you look at the spec sheet, it looks pretty good, and you go, "This is the best thing ever, I must buy it." There has to be a place for a voice of reason, a place for some temperance, if you will. And I hate to tell you it, but I am that place. I feel like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You need me out there on that wall. You want the truth about the Top Sky Prime 1S goggles? You can't handle the truth. You just want a Fat Shark Killer goggle for $100 that delivers a 1080p OLED display and has 1 zillion degree field of view. The truth is that product doesn't exist and will never exist. There's two sides to the hype train. One side is manufacturers and reviewers who get excited about products and want you to buy them because they make money and because they make affiliate links off of them. That's real. I'm not saying that's not real. But the other side is people who get unreasonably excited about new products that don't even exist yet, decide they're the best thing ever, and beg to slap their money down. So, should you buy the Eachine Trashcan? Should we take the Mobula 7 and just forget it even exists? Or is there maybe some reasons that you might pick the Mobula 7 over the Trashcan, despite the fact that the Trashcan's better on paper? That's what we're going to find out today. Stay tuned. Where did it go? I threw it. Where did it end up? Oh, there it is. Okay. The Mobula 7 is one of my favorite 2S tiny whoops. In fact, it may be my favorite. If I had to pick one micro-sized quad to take with me to a desert island, it might just be the Mobula 7. And part of the reason why that's true is its versatility. You can run the Mobula 7 on 2S, two regular tiny whoop packs plug in, and you take it outside, and it is plenty fast and powerful enough to do light acro or relatively sort of open racing cruising style flight. You can take that same quad and put a 50% throttle limit on it, take it indoors, and fly it on a tiny whoop race course, and it's so weird because the flight controller can use the full 2S voltage to control the motors. So it's got sharpness in handling and recovery from bonks that a 1S quad just can't match. But because you've got a 50% throttle limit on it, it's still relatively controllable. Not quite as controllable as an actual little 1S 65mm tiny whoop, but pretty darn close. And if you really want to, you can run it on just a 1S battery with no throttle limit. And I actually think that's the worst way to run it, but you can do it, and you get something a little closer to a true tiny whoop experience. It's lighter weight because you've got one fewer battery on it, but it's also got less power. Your call which one you like better. This is a really good quad, but it's not perfect. And in order to highlight the reasons why so many people were willing to just forget the Mobula 7 existed and jump on the Trashcan hype train, let's talk about the ways that the Eachine Trashcan is better. The Mobula 7 has an F3 processor. The Eachine Trashcan has an F4 processor. Now, you might think that that doesn't really matter, but it turns out that Betaflight has announced that Betaflight 4.0, which is coming out in just a couple months, is going to be the last version of Betaflight that has support for the F3 processor. So if you've got a Mobula 7, Betaflight 4.0 will be the last version of Betaflight you'll be able to run on it. Does that matter? Will you even still have your Mobula 7 in 6 months or 8 months when the next version of Betaflight comes out? I don't know. But having an F4 on the Trashcan certainly is nice from the perspective of future-proofing. The Mobula 7 has 0802 sized motors. That means they're 8 millimeters in diameter and 2 millimeters tall. The Trashcan has 0803 motors. That means they're 8 millimeters wide and 3 millimeters tall. So the Trashcan's motors are larger in height and volume, and that means they're going to make more power and draw more amps, all else being equal. And before you poo-poo that 1 millimeter of additional size, bear in mind that going from 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters is a 50% increase in height. That's a substantial difference. The Mobula's video transmitter transmits at 25 milliwatts, and that's it. The Trashcan's video transmitter transmits at 25 or 200 milliwatts. If you're racing, 25 milliwatts is probably where you're going to be limited to. That's how most races run. But for freestyle and indoor exploration, 200 milliwatts is going to give you a lot more penetration and range. The camera on the Mobula 7 is absolute crap. It is the single weakest part of the Mobula 7, and it is one of the only things holding back the Mobula 7 from being just unreservedly awesome. The first time I flew the Mobula 7, even outdoors on a sunny day, I had times when the camera, there's just this crazy blooming, flaring of highlights. Even outside in a sunny day, I had times when I was having trouble seeing obstacles or seeing where I was going. And flying indoors on a lighted track, if there's any kind of backlight or anything, it's very difficult to see where the gates are or where you're going. And it's a testament to how freaking good the Mobula is that despite its awful camera, I still love it and it's still one of my favorites. The camera on the Trashcan is amazing. It's the Caddx EOS camera, not some no-name off-brand like they put in the Mobula, and it is in every way better than the camera on the Mobula 7, except one way. More about that in a second. We're talking about the ways that the Trashcan's better. Another thing the Trashcan's got that the Mobula 7 doesn't is this little LED strip on the back. I'll just demo this for a second. Whee! Mine, oh, that's too bad. Well, you can see that it's trying to do this little Larson scanner thing. Mine is actually broken. These last two ones appear not to be working. That's too bad. It is actually, it's just fun to see it flying around. It actually also really helps when you're trying to find it after you've crashed behind a couch or something. The reason that mine is broken is because it popped. Oh, it's working again. Hey! Oh, nope, it's broken. Oh, okay, well, oh. All right, anyway, the reason that mine is broken is because it popped out in a crash, and I would recommend that if you get this, that you take some thin CA cyanoacrylate or superglue, thin CA, and just put a little bit here to help hold this in. It popped out in a crash. It got chopped by the props, and it's damaged now. So based on all that, you can see why people were excited about the Eachine Trashcan. It takes everything that's good about the Mobula 7 and fixes a lot that was bad about it. But all is not sunshine and roses for the Eachine Trashcan. Here's one way that the Mobula 7 beats the Trashcan. Mobula 7, 29 grams. Trashcan, 35 grams. And that is, again, it's only 6 grams, right? So what's the big deal? But 6 grams on a 30-gram quad is a substantial increase in weight. And you do notice that when you're flying, especially if you're flying on 1S. I would say that if you prefer to fly on 1S battery, the Mobula 7 actually is the better flying quad. If you prefer to fly on 2S, either with or without a throttle cut, then the additional weight of the Trashcan is sort of overcome by its more powerful motors. But there's no doubt that this is actually, especially in very tight environments, the Trashcan is actually a less controllable quad due to its additional weight. There's a definite difference between a heavier quad and a lighter quad, even if those quads have the same power to weight ratio. In other words, the heavier quad has more powerful motors. That doesn't mean that it just flies the same as a lighter quad with the same power to weight ratio. Another downside of the Eachine Trashcan is its camera. Wait, didn't I say that the camera was better? It is in terms of image quality, but confusingly, the camera that Eachine has put on this quad is a 16:9 widescreen camera, and it is not available with a standard 4:3 aspect ratio. Most people out there today are flying goggles with 4:3 screens, and many of these goggles do not have the ability to letterbox an analog video feed. In other words, if you have goggles with 4:3 screens like the Fat Shark HDO, the Fat Shark Dominator HD3, Omway Commander V2, any of those goggles, you will be looking at a squished image, and there isn't really a way around that as far as I can tell. That's a shame. I really wish that Eachine would offer this with a 4:3 camera. It'd be really nice if the camera was just switchable, but I don't know if that's even possible. Another way that the Mobula just destroys the trash can is in the accessories it comes with, specifically the charger. The Mobula comes with this charger. It's labeled Happymodel. It's actually made by Yuru AV, and it sells for about $15 if you were to buy this exact same charger off of Banggood. And it's a really decent charger. It's got switches for charge rate, 600 milliamps or 200 milliamps, and it's got switches for high volt versus standard LiPo, and you can switch those on a per port basis, and you can charge 6 batteries at a time. It's even got a USB output. It can be charged from a 12 volt DC input or from an XT60. This is a really fine little charger. I mean, I would pay $15 for this. This is what comes with the trash can. It is USB based. It charges 1 battery at a time, and well, there you go. This is way better. And that difference is even more stark when you consider the fact that as of the day I'm recording this video, the Mobula 7 costs $85. The trash can costs $105. So the trash can is $20 more. So you got to really want what the trash can is bringing to the table to buy it over the Mobula 7. How does the trash can fly? Let's find out by first looking at it in acro mode outside in my yard. This is on a 2S battery. As you can see, it's starting at 8.4 volts, and it's with the full throttle. And as you'll see, as soon as I take off, the battery sags pretty badly. Some of that is due to the larger motors on the trash can. Compared to the Mobula, there's not as much sag, but some of it is due to the fact that it's freaking 35 degrees outside, and these aren't exactly the newest batteries, so don't blame the trash can for all of this sag. It flies pretty decent. The difference in power between it and the Mobula is not as pronounced due to its additional weight, though. You'd think you would get a lot more than you maybe actually do. Are you seeing a little bit of jello here? I can only ask you to take my word for it that that wasn't there before I started bashing the crap out of it. I've been flying this thing for a couple weeks, and it's not on the newest props. Sorry. Hey, on the other hand, you definitely know that I have a lot of... I've tested it thoroughly for durability. Yes, indeed I have. It flies pretty decent, though, and I have every confidence on new props. It flies relatively smooth. The default tune definitely needs a little bit of work. You're going to see some prop wash oscillation at certain points, but it's got plenty of power and plenty of punch. And here we are flying indoors at the Race Day Quads warehouse, this time in angle mode and with a 50% throttle scale. Whoop, shooting gaps. When you look down in the lower left, you can actually see my throttle position. I'm only going up to like 25-30%, but because I'm using a 50% throttle scale, I'm actually moving the stick twice as much as you actually see there, giving me the precision to control the quad in this tight environment. Well, as much precision as my piloting abilities can anyway. And it feels pretty good. Not as nimble as some of the smaller quads, but definitely more than capable of dealing with the environment. And again, my limited abilities as a pilot. I'm really interested to see what would happen if we took the Project Mockingbird tune and specifically the increase of level strength to sharpen this up. I do feel like the motors have more control and more precision to give than we're actually seeing here. I do not have that in this video, but maybe we'll test that in a future video. As with the outdoor tune, we definitely do see the batteries struggling to keep up. They're sagging down to 3.3, 3.2 volts, and some of that is due to the fact that these batteries, I got to get some new batteries for my whoops. Some of that is due to the fact that we are running on the stock PH 2.0 connector, and if you were to convert that to a connector like an XT30 or a JST connector, you would get less voltage drop. And some of that is due to the fact that, yes, the 0803 motors on this guy are drawing a little more current than the smaller motors on the Mobula, or the even smaller motors on an even smaller quad. Hi, Stingy. And when I got the Eachine Trashcan, I hoped that the fact that they had upgraded from the Crazy Bee F3 to the Crazy Bee F4 flight controller, I hoped that that would mean that the lockup bug would not happen on the Trashcan. You see, there's a bug on the Crazy Bee flight controller when you have an onboard SPI-based receiver, like the built-in FreeSky receiver. And when the bug causes the quad to just lock up and fall out of the sky, and you just have to power cycle it before it'll respond again. The way to fix that is either to bind in D8 mode. You can change the receiver type to D8 mode, and I actually have a video showing how to do that. Or some people have said that if you bind in D16 mode, which is the default, and you turn telemetry off, then that'll work as well. Regardless, I hoped that the Trashcan would not have the problem, and I'm sorry to say that it does. It's got the same lockup bugs. So if you've been flying your Trashcan and it's just falling out of the sky for no reason, that's the fix. So with all that being said, is the Eachine Trashcan a better quad than the Mobula 7? Is it the Mobula 7 killer? And the short answer is, yeah, it kind of is. But I don't think it's absolutely true that everyone should buy the Trashcan instead of the Mobula. The Mobula is $20 cheaper, and it's still a damn good quad. The thing that really makes the difference for me is it's the camera. Even though the camera on the Trashcan is 16:9, and I'm looking at a squished image, and that drives me crazy. It's just such a better camera than the Mobula's that I gotta go with it. And I personally prefer a little bit more of the higher powered acro style flying to the really precise flying that the 1S micro guys like. So the fact that this Trashcan is a little bit heavier and doesn't fly quite as good on 1S as the Mobula, to me, that's not as big a deal. The fact that it's just a little bit more powerful outdoors, that's what matters more to me. So that is pretty much all I have to say about these quads. But if your mind isn't quite made up yet, when I first got the Trashcan, I actually live streamed for about 2 hours. I live stream sometime Monday nights on twitch.tv/quad_camp. And I did a live stream the day I got this where I flew the Trashcan, the Mobula 7, the Tinyhawk, a couple of other micro quads, one after the other through this race course that I've got here in my office, and really gave just my first impressions of how they fly. And if you're still looking for more help making up your mind, especially with flight examples and examples of the cameras indoors, then go check that out. I'll put a link to that live stream down in the video description. You can watch it. I've got it re-uploaded to YouTube, and you can just watch it right here on YouTube. But for me, that's going to bring me to the end of the review. Between these two guys, I would probably pay $20 more for the Trashcan just because of its better camera. But if you are more prone to flying indoors, if you just want to save $20, the Mobula 7 is still a fantastic quad, and it comes with a better charger. Definitely don't count the Mobula 7 out. That's going to do it for this review. Oh, no, one more thing. I left out the most important part. Can you guess what it is? It's the part where I beg you to use my affiliate links or become my patron, because it takes a lot of work. I have to work really hard flying these quads. It's so hard. Okay. But seriously, guys, if I can't pay the rent, then I don't know what I'm going to do. So click my affiliate links. It helps a lot. Join my Patreon. Just a couple bucks. Who do you care? Worst commercial ever. I should work for NPR. You guys want a tote bag? With a tote bag? An NPR tote? A JB tote. Ooh, JB coffee mug. Pledge at the $5 level and get a... I'm so bad at this. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you have the Mobula? Do you also have the Trashcan? Did you pick one or the other? Let me know which one you have or which one you got or which one you would get and why. And also, don't forget to tell me all the things I overlooked and got wrong, because I do really love that. Happy flying. I don't know how to end this video.